Hi guys, here we go again. When the Tories introduce a policy that was copied off the back of a public toilet door and it begins to either fall apart or demonstrate that it's completely unworkable, they don't drop the policy and move on. They look around for someone or something to blame, which doesn't include the Tories or the policy itself. So of course the European Convention on Human Rights is presented as a problem and getting out of it as the solution. Now, legal experts in the past have explained why this is a non-starter, but it seems that some Tory MPs are open to the idea, one of them Mark Francois. But he refused to say if his party would add it to their manifesto. Have a listen.
Tell me why we should stay in.
Well, hang on. You didn't. I said there are three options.
We do. You've just laid them out.
Right. So
why should we stay in? What are the benefits to staying in?
Well, I'm not saying we should. You didn't ask me that.
Well, I'm just about to.
Oh, okay.
What do you think we should do?
Well, speaking personally, to be very clear, speaking as Mark Francois, I would now, given the events of the last few years, given the boats, given what Ben has said about national security, I'm prepared to contemplate that we should leave.
To contemplate we should leave?
Yes.
Will this be in the Conservative manifesto?
I'm not in the government, Nigel.
Do you want it to be in the Conservative manifesto?
I would like it to be.
Would it be a referendum or something that, would it be a referendum vote or something that a majority Conservative government?
No, Nigel, I'm not going to sit here and make all that up off the cuff. I mean, you wouldn't.
Our people want to know.
Look, I think that the current position is unsustainable, right? The Prime Minister faithfully promised the British people he was going to stop the boats. Well, he hasn't stopped them yet, and everybody knows it.
Yep.
So we're going to have to do something different. I think we now need to have what you might call a national debate about the ECHR. And if the Strasbourg court continue to overreach their powers, then it may be that we have to leave.
Oh my goodness. This is getting more and more like Brexit. And I'm getting a little bit frightened by this because, back in 2015, 2014, 2013, the idea that the UK would vote to leave the European Union made no sense to a lot of people. And then we saw what happened right, 1 year later in 2016. So I'm concerned that people will be told this is the solution to all of our problems. We need to leave the European Convention. We need to end the European Convention on Human Rights. We need to leave the European Court because it's stopping us from doing our job. Now, instead of actually dropping the policy, because the policy is a non-starter, it's not working, it's a stupid policy, stop the boats. Instead of actually dropping it, what they're going to do is say, well, we need to find another solution. And of course, that solution is never create safe routes, process people in Calais. No, we're not going to do that. We're going to talk about leaving the European Convention on Human Rights. And we're going to get a campaign going, probably. Nigel can, stand on a ship or something and broadcast how it would be great for the British people to throw their own rights under a bus. A bit like Brexit. Ending freedom of movement, ending people's rights under the European Convention on Human Rights. Now, I don't believe this is going to happen, although I didn't really believe people would vote to leave the European Union. But the reason I say this is because there are massive consequences for a future British government if they did decide to leave the European Convention on Human Rights, because a very important part of it is the Human Rights Act, which is necessary as part of the Good Friday Agreement. Now, ending the Human Rights Act, or tinkering even with it, would undermine the Good Friday Agreement. And if the UK government undermines the Good Friday Agreement, they'll be hell to pay from the US. Both Republicans and Democrats from the Irish lobby would be campaigning for sanctions to be imposed upon the UK if they were to do that. Very powerful lobby, and it includes both Republicans and Democrats. So they would, at the moment there's a very Irish-friendly president. That may not always be the case, but I'm pretty sure going forward, the Irish lobby is still going to be pretty strong. So they would be demanding sanctions, some type of sanctions imposed upon Britain. But what would be the actual benefit? You wouldn't stop the boats. So you would say, okay, we're leaving the European Court on Human Rights. We're taking away our judge. We're leaving it. We're going to be like Belarus. Now, what have we achieved? Nothing, because it's not going to stop the boats, because the boats policy is a stupid policy, and leaving the European Convention on Human Rights is not going to stop it. It's not going to fix that problem. The only way you stop the boats is by creating safe routes, by processing claims in France. That's the way you stop the boats. But the Tories don't want to do that. Now, is it going to be part of some manifesto? I don't think so. Is there going to be a referendum? I don't think so. Will there be a public debate? That's possible, because people like Nigel Farage and maybe Mark Francois believe they can make some hay out of that. But I don't see the UK having a vote, and I don't see the UK eventually leaving. There are too many negative consequences and too few positives. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.